So before I start today's video, I wanted to show you this. I don't know where this came from. I was just working on a Panasonic and I don't know if it was stuck in the lid of that or something along those lines, as it's just actually appeared on my desk of all places. So this was sort of scrumpled up like that, which does seem to suggest that it's been stuffed in somewhere. But this is actually an older, I'd say sort of early 90s VHS video cassette sticker pack. So on these earlier ones you used to get a selection of numbers, a selection of letters, a selection of symbols to allow you to determine what you're actually displaying. And it looks like this was probably coinciding with the Olympics, because it's got an Olympic symbol thing there as well. Also the length of the cassette as well, E120, so that's your 2 hours, 3 hours, 3 hours and 15 minutes at E195, which I think was bought out to compete with Betamax's L750s, which on PAL are 3 hours and 15 minutes in length. Then you've got an E240, which is 4 hours. So the two most popular sizes were the 3 hour and 4 hour cassettes, and it looks like that's just come off my hand, which is a bit annoying, but that's to be expected with the age of this thing. Anyway, just wanted to show you that. It's a rather interesting little bit of history. There's nothing else on it, so I can't determine who manufactured the cassette, but there you go. Anyway, let's get started with the main event. So at the moment we have an empty table. I've just been working on that Panasonic, which you would have seen in the last video, so I've still got some bits of paper left over. And what I'm going to be doing now is having a look at an issue which affects a lot of Betamax owners and VHS owners, which is availability of belts. So I have here a micrometer, which when I last checked it was working. I've only just recently put some batteries in it actually, so let's try turning it on. Yep, there we go, that seems to be okay. So if you zero it, obviously measures in inches or millimetres, which is quite cool. But we're going to be using this to determine some belt and idler sizes for some of my Betamax machines, and then we're going to have a look around the internet to see if we can find any. So the first machine that we're going to look at is quite a popular series of machines. In this instance it is this. This is a Sanyo VTC M20, and that is a front panel, said M20. Now these are actually really good mid-spec VCRs. Being of a Sanyo origin, they are simple yet reliable, which is the main thing these days. When you sort of come to using machines of this age, you do want something that is proven to be reliable, and that can be fixed with just the use of a soldering iron and a few simple tools. So we're just going to get inside this one, because there is one particular item that I want to focus on, and that is the main supply and take-up spool idler. Now this machine works, although after I remove the idler it won't work, but I'll be seeking out a new one so it will work again. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't rewind, so there's no electrical issues, so there's no sort of deck control problem which would stop it rewinding. The issue is quite literally with the idler. Now you can see here somebody has actually serviced it annually, so that's actually quite rare to see, but somebody was obviously invested a great deal of money in this and decided to sort of keep it serviced and up to date, which is, when you sort of come to it at this age, it's quite nice to see. It looks like it was put away probably sometime after 1991. What I would imagine would have happened is they would have taken delivery of an ever decreasing cost of ownership VHS machine. So certainly around this sort of time, machines were becoming cheaper and more affordable for anybody that wanted to own one, which meant that sort of older machines like this would sort of usually end up in people's lofts. You'd never see machines like this actually sort of, you know, you've never seen them sort of go down the tip at that sort of age. What would sort of generally happen is somebody would say, oh, I'll put it in the loft, I've got a load of Betamax cassettes anyway, I'll probably want to replay them at some point in the future, but then before you know it, 20 years has passed and you're at a point where you suddenly think, oh, actually I didn't ever play back any of those cassettes, I may as well just, you know, send the machine off to the tip or give it away in the local free ads. And that's where sort of a lot of these machines actually ended up in the sort of early to mid 2000s. They would sort of either end up at your local tip or they would end up in the free ads. This one, thankfully, did not end up at a tip, it ended up in my possession. It was given away to a charity, and that charity knew that I was into these sort of things, so I bought it off of them for a small donation to the charity itself. So yeah, it works sort of two ways, which is quite good. Anyway, so as you can see, I have been in here recently because there's a lot of greased points, but there's also a relatively recent belt and an idler which I flipped around. Now what I need to do is I need to get a piece of paper, I need to find a suitable pen which hopefully still works. Let's check if this one still works. Certainly seems to. So we're going to start off with this small belt. So this will be suitable for the VTC M20. The 5000s and 6500s didn't use this dual idler assembly. The earlier ones actually had a cogged assembly, but the later decks, so I think the NX100s or the NX10s or whatever they are, the M10s, M20s, M30s, all use this sort of dual idler setup. So that is what we're going to be focusing on in this video. However, the idlers may suit the 5000 as well, so I think they're the same size. So first off, I'm going to grab my, so I'm going to zero that. I'm going to measure the thickness of the belt. So this is a square belt, and the thickness of the square belt is 2.2 millimeters. So that's 2.2 millimeters thick. Now this is the difficult one, as I normally sort of do it in length, so I'm going to try and do it in... Actually, it might be better to use this top one. So if I zero that, then using this top one, come outwards, like so. And I don't want to stretch it too much, but that should be about the length, which is 26.44 millimeters. So belt length, or well, that's more the, I guess that's more the circumference. 26.44 millimeters. Okay. Right, the next one of these is these idlers. So to do the idlers, I'm going to start with this one first, and I'm going to carefully remove it. You can see there it's beginning to crack already, so I don't want to destroy it, so I'm just going to carefully remove it. and I'm going to measure the thickness. So it is 3.38 millimeters. So the idler 3.38 millimeters. This is actually width, sorry. So it's 3.38 millimeters wide. The diameter is, probably use this top one to do it, so let's zero that. And measure the diameter about there. So the diameter is 14.85. Diameter. And let's have a look. Let's zero the clock again. This time measure the width. Width, we're looking at 2.15 millimeters. Oh, sorry, thickness. Okay, so that's the idler for this one. So what I'm going to do now is do what I did before, flip it inside out, and just mount it back onto here. And there we go. So that's another reason why it's probably not working. As you can see there, it's got a slightly sort of tapered in appearance. So it's obviously not going to work because it's not the proper shape, although it does still do what it should, which is why the unit still plays back okay. I think the playback actually uses a different idler, but it might be why it fast forwards okay. So let's grab this one out of here. I've got a feeling these are going to be probably going to be the same size. So let's first off check the width. 3.18 wide. Or have I squashed it? So width is 3.28. I've got 3.38 there. So yeah, hardly anything in it on width. Diameter. I've got 15.24 on this one, which is about the same. And thickness is 2.29. Yeah, the idlers are pretty much identical, to be honest, so there's no real difference in the size of the idlers there. Anyway, I'll put this back on because this machine is, for the most part, working. But as you can see, I don't know if you can see this, let me get up and show you on the camera. If you can see, the idlers are quite badly cracked, so they're not long for this world. If I put this machine into sort of reasonably light use, these would probably fail, certainly within the year, if not sooner. You could say that they've already failed because they're not actually working 100% anyway. But anyway, this will go back into here. This one will go like so. So we will grab the little belt, pop the little belt onto here, and pop the little belt down onto the idler down the bottom. Anyway, that's a bit fiddly, so I'm going to do that off camera. In the next episode, we're going to actually start taking a look online to see if we can find belts of the particular size to suit this machine. So, anyway, thank you all very much for listening. I would highly recommend investing in one of these because they are a really handy little tool to have. This one cost me probably about £15 to £20, and it's Not a particularly fantastic one, but it will do the job, certainly for video recorder related stuff and also for my car related stuff as well. In fact, I might actually get another one for car related purposes, because invariably it will get invariably covered in oil and other car related detritus. But they're certainly very useful for measuring things like widths of piston rings and anything else that you may want to measure down to an nth degree when doing an engine or cylinder head rebuild. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care, see you soon.